you may know, DoorDash just had their first ever DoorDash Dasher Roundtable event where they brought in different Dashers all across the country to talk directly to the company at their home office about new features. But there's a lot of concerns I've heard from you, so share down below. Your biggest concerns about, on-time rates, overall Dasher rating, and base pay, which is why I brought with me some of these content creators and Dashers to talk about this roundtable event. In this video, we have Marco out of the kind of Virginia area here. He was there, and I wanted to talk to him about this roundtable event. So firstly, Marco, welcome to the channel. Introduce yourself to the audience, a little bit about maybe your marketplace and how long you've been dashing for.
Well, yeah, my name is Marco. I go by Nova Hustles on YouTube. I've been dashing since 2018, 2019. Got about almost 25,000 deliveries here in the Northern Virginia. It's right outside DC. So if you see my channel, you see me pick up and drop off a lot of deliveries. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and primarily stay in this area. I've dashed in DC a couple of times, but just like San Francisco, I'm sure Mike can let you guys know the traffic is terrible, the parking is terrible. So I kind of stay in my own area, more like suburbs type, not too much city. But I can hop around different zones and, catch a little bit of the city vibe if I really want to.
It's an impressive amount of deliveries. I respect that hustle. Yeah. Nova Hustles, definitely hustling. So maybe share down below how many deliveries, you've done here. It doesn't matter if you just started. That's cool too. Welcome to the channel. All I do is help you make money in different side hustles. So Marco, I want to start straight off the bat. One of the biggest concerns that I've heard from you, the Dasher folks watching this, is base pay. Something that we really didn't talk about a ton during this roundtable. We'll get to on-time rate and all of that. But luckily we had a few minutes here with Tony Xu, their CEO, and a little bit of one-on-one time. What did you tell Tony about base pay?
Well, yeah, it's funny, I feel like he was trying to leave, but at the same time, he kind of wanted to stay, I think, and chit chat. And then you might hear my dog in the background. She's just eating her food. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I kind of pulled him aside, and then, we talked a little bit, and I said, hey, what's going on with the base pay? I think everybody wants it to go up, but, it's never going to go back up. If anything, it might, hopefully not, but I feel like eventually it might be even lowered. In my area, my base pay is $2.25. I have a lot of subscribers that are like, oh, my base pay is $2. Why is it different than yours? And this and that. So I kind of talked to him about it. I was like, hey, so what's up with the base pay? And in more or less, he told me, well, it's what it's at. So it can be more evenly. So it can be more fairly distributed among Dashers. Like he basically said, if we make it higher, then it's going to be less offers for everybody. So in a way, it's kind of saying that where it's at right now, it's sort of a sweet spot for them, where they're still leaning heavily on the customer tips. At least in my market, the base pay is $2.25, and if I see a $2.25 order and it's going 8 miles, I'm just not going to take it, So he was like, yeah, it makes sense, and I feel like he understands a lot of it, and he knows that it's not going to be perfect, and I don't think he really has a solution for the base pay. And then I kind of more or less asked him, well, there isn't really anywhere for a Dasher to see their base pay, like. If you go online and you Google wherever you're at, in my area, there isn't somewhere that I can see, hey, my base pay is $2.25 and why, or if I know some people in Texas that I know that are subscribers, oh, my base was only $2. Why? There isn't like somewhere that a Dasher can reach out and see why their base pay is what it is, and even with the stacked offers, with the stacked offers, they only give you one base pay, and he was like, yeah, he acknowledged a lot of it. And I feel like he knows. But I just don't think there really is a solution that we would like, because the base pay is, when I started dashing back in the day, you wouldn't see anything less than $6, but that was a long time ago. So I think Dashers are going to have to just, try to take the best offers that make sense for them, because I don't really think that DoorDash is going to increase the base pay. But I did talk about promos and like peak pay and things of that nature. Because I was like, my promo tab is always empty. Like there's never any promos. So I don't know if that's more of a new Dasher thing, and I know you mentioned that in your market, peak pay is always on, right? $3 all the time. That's never a thing for me. It's gonna be Armageddon. Snow is gonna be, it's gonna be terrible out there for you to see peak pay. And if anything, I'm not a fan of peak pay, because I feel like it brings out Dashers that are not gonna dash. But because it's the peak pay, they're like, ooh, let me go out and make more money, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, appreciate you sharing all that and that kind of unique one-on-one opportunity with Tony there. So let's touch on that base pay first, and then I kind of want to talk about that peak pay there. I kind of agree with you, and folks, lean into this. Drop a like on this video if you appreciate, frankly, this very candid insight here to base pay. I don't think DoorDash is going to make people are like double it, like $4 base pay, $5.
Yeah.
Like Tony said. And I've said this, it's a tightrope. It's a lot of math. It's a lot of, supply and demand, because we have merchants, customers, and dashers. So if we increase the base pay, I get it. It's expenditure for DoorDash. Who cares about DoorDash? They're a huge company, this and that. But if it just doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. Now, to your point, Marco, if you're in a marketplace and you don't like the offers, I'll continue this is what I've always said, keep declining it. If it doesn't make sense for you and you don't want to take these orders, keep declining it, multi-app, drive on a different app. You do not have to do DoorDash. Well, what if I keep getting bad offers? Then do what I did for Uber Eats. Don't use the app. I mean, if it's that bad and you're trying everything you can, different times, days, niches, shop and deliver, dash link, whatever. If everything is bad for you, don't do it. Right? That's what the definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So in part, hey, it's up to DoorDash as well to provide quality offers. Let's go into peak pay. You mentioned I don't have anything in my promos tab. You can check right now, folks. Now, Marco mentioned that floating bonus boost we've had specifically. It's been $3 here in Pittsburgh, where I'm at, Pennsylvania. Now, funny enough, I just saw this yesterday. It finally went down to 150, folks. There you go. It's still 24/7. I haven't checked today, but anyway, again, Marco kind of said here, a lot of this is market dependent. I may have peak pay. Marco has no peak pay. Some marketplaces, yes, the base pay, DoorDash says on their support page is low as $2. So that's as low as it can go. That's DoorDash's contribution.
I think for now.
Well, but, you said it might go lower.
I mean, Uber's base pay is pretty down on the floor.
I winced when you said that. Let's hope it does not go any lower. But again, listen, I want to move over to on-time rates, because that's another big concern. Do you have on-time rates in your kind of Virginia area?
I still have the old school. Mine hasn't transitioned to the new one yet, but I've heard a lot of feedback, from subscribers that it's terrible. And, even when I was talking to Richard, Cincinnati Deliveries, he was harping on that heavily about how it's not fair. And, and I feel I think Luis said it, on time went from not moving ever to now it's the most important thing on the app. Yeah. Luckily for me, that hasn't happened yet. But again, my market is weird, man. I don't have earn by time. I don't have a lot of things that have been rolled out forever ago. So I feel at some point I'll get those. We do have the Dasher rewards, the current one, but because my rating is so low, my ratings tab still looks way, way different than everybody's rating for now.
Yeah. Well, there's the new home screen. There is Dash Link Warehouse. There is overall Dasher rating. And then we're talking about right now, on-time rate. So let us know in the comments if you have on-time rate. So I guess you and I are both talking from kind of the same stance, because I do not have on-time rate on my profile, which is going to, of course, measure if you're on time at the pickup and or the drop off. And if you're late, it affects that on-time rate, which then in turn can affect your rewards program. In this case, the updated overall Dasher rating program. Now, let me get your thoughts on this, Marco, because DoorDash said, lean into this is a big takeaway. They know on-time rate is not great. They're we know it's rough. And frankly, that's why it's delayed the expansion of overall Dasher rating. I don't know. I mean, so I guess it's probably not going to come to our markets until they improve it. What do you think's going on with on-time rate?
Yeah, I think, I can't remember her name, but I think they definitely know there's a lot of issues. Because, when we were mentioned, they were their eyes would light up we know about that. You know what I mean? And I was well, if we know about it, why is it there? But yeah, I don't think we'll see it maybe till maybe mid-June. I think maybe something like that of 2026. I feel in my mind, it's probably an easy fix, but I'm sure there's a lot more complex things that go into it, obviously into the app. And I hope they fix it. I feel a lot of Dashers, really depend on that for the ratings and all that stuff. So like I said, I haven't felt it in my area yet, but I'm sure that it's coming at some point, because I feel like it's just the way they're leaning towards, like the overall rating and all that stuff. And I'll do what I can. I mean, I'm not gonna dash in differently, because there's just so many offers in my marketplace that are bad. There's no other way there's no other way to describe them, that I feel like they're aimed for maybe like newer dashers that don't know any better and things of that nature. But I'm really hoping they do fix the rating. I mean, they really seem to care. I mean, that's what I got from speaking to a bunch of people. Like there are people that were coming up to us, and they were like, "Hey, I do this for DoorDash or whatever," and I was like, "Oh, nice." You would talk to them, and I feel like they really wanted that feedback from us.
I got the same sentiment. I get it. There's so much cynicism. Like the larger the company, right, the more cynicism,
Yeah.
which I get. I did get the sentiment that, Tony took his time, product managers took their time, communications teams were there, and they took their time and they were listening, because I've said this, it's a three-legged stool. I mean, if one of these things fails, merchants, customers, or dashers, that business is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
They have to have at least a satisfactory, sure, we're not ranting and raving, it's the best thing ever. It's got to be good enough, or we're all going to migrate elsewhere. With these different features. So like Marco said, this was kind of the timeline I was predicting as well. Q2, let's have some patience. It's not going to happen instantly. There's like 8 million dashers here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're going to clean up on-time rate. It's going to be better. So let me ask you this. At the roundtable specifically, because this was a first ever internal event, what do you feel, either from the event or I guess the DoorDash at large, what's the biggest win right now? What are they doing the best right now? What's the best thing they're doing live or upcoming feature for dashers? And then of course, give us like the worst thing. What's like the thing that they're dropping the ball on the most? If you can give us a little flavor there.
Ooh, the best thing. I mean, I think the fact they brought us out there just to kind of, I don't think they were. I don't think it was a show. I think they definitely cared. There's a lot of things they're aware of that I think they're going to try and fix. So I really did enjoy talking to the different groups of project managers, the random DoorDash people that were there. I really like the fact that they had the Dasher roots people, because they're just regular Dashers. They're not content creators. They're just regular Dashers that like advocate, and whatnot. And they had like the guy next to me, Jonathan, 26,000 deliveries. The lady next to me, I can't remember her name, 28,000 deliveries. And I was like, wow. And then you had mine. So in between the three of us, you had like 80,000 deliveries just sitting there, of all these questions that we had, and I think because it was the first time, it's like years of questions into 1 hour or a couple hours. And I feel like, I don't think they realized how much feedback we had or how many questions we had. Because I feel like, I don't know about you, but when I got the questionnaire, I asked way too many questions that I knew we weren't going to get to, but I feel like I just had to, put it on there. I asked some subscribers that are, longtime dashers that are, I don't want to say like the veteran dashers are like bitter, but I feel like that's kind of like the sentiment that I get from when I meet people. I'm like, oh man, it used to be so much better, because it used to be so much better, right? But you can't just harp on the past, and you kind of just got to move on. But I do feel like a lot of the dasher feedback is kind of negative towards the company because of that, because the offers were better, and it just, I think the overall experience was better. So for me, I was able to talk to, I can't remember his name, but I asked him, hey, does the Android app get less love than iOS? And he was like, a few years ago, I would have told you yes. But I think now it's more like even between both apps, So I really like the fact that, they seem to care about things like that. I think when they're dropping the ball, and I think you talked about this, is like the DoorDash, like the milestones, like, when you hit like 20,000 deliveries or 10,000, whatever it might be, they just hit you with like, oh, here's a 10% off or whatever promo code on DoorDash, which I feel like that's kind of, I don't want to say it's insulting, but it almost is, So I think they're missing the mark when it comes to like the veteran dashers in what to do to keep them or like retain them. And I spoke about that because the guy that I got paired up with, Trevor, on our dash, he's actually in charge of like, how do you make the dasher experience better for new dashers? And I was like, so where's the guy that makes the experience better for old dashers? Because I was telling him, I was like, when you're a new dasher, they give you what, like the platinum stuff for like a couple of weeks, maybe. They kind of try to butter you up, keep you in the app and whatnot. But people that have been there for a long time, they don't get any of that stuff,
Very, very well said. I mean, there's so much to unpack there. I know that, if we just stay on new Dashers, their product team talked about those reserve zones. That's,
Hmm.
only been out maybe two
Yeah.
years, if that, where it'll lock a zone until that new Dasher completes a certain amount of deliveries. Then
Hmm.
they can dash in that sub marketplace. But like you said, I mean, Marco, you have what, 20 some thousand deliveries?
Almost 25.
25. I mean, I'm a nobody, folks. I mean, I try to help you as much as I can. I've done 2,100. I mean, great. It's still a good amount of deliveries. And hey, if
Hmm.
you've done 50, 100, I mean, shout outs to you still. I mean, there's a lot of things you can be doing with your time, folks. So,
Yeah.
hey, 25, I love to see it. 28, I love to see it. If you're anywhere in between 1 and 50,000, I mean, hey, still shout outs to you for
Yeah.
getting out there and hustling. I would say, yeah, those milestones. If someone's like Marco, when you're like, hey, I just hit 25,000, I said this, and I'll leave another video link down below. You've put years or at least thousands of hours into DoorDash, and then they're like, well, you can give us some more money. We'll give you like 40% off though, or whatever it is. It's got to be
Yeah.
more. I've called for, cash rewards and stuff. So we do have to kind of follow the current day, not just sit in the past, but also we want a fair platform. So I guess some final words for anyone that's dashing, Marco. We had a lot of takeaways. Any other takeaways, maybe from the roundtable or even just the future of dashing? We have a lot of things coming. We have the Dash link. We have new Dasher tasks. We have an abridged, updated on-time rate coming. Any kind of final thoughts here in the future of dashing?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the comment section of anybody that went, everyone's like, "Oh, make sure you ask the right questions," or you guys sold out or whatever. You're never going to please everyone that's watching your content and whatnot. But I think with like the flash offers coming, I think the pro shopping stuff, I think that's definitely going to be it's going to get better. I think they're definitely trying to do more opportunities for dashers, which I think it's a good thing. And like you said, most people only dash part time. But I do think that if you're a full time dasher, you're going to see some changes. And all we can do is tell people that it's going to get better, but in the end, it's going to be up to the DoorDash teams to kind of, own up on their word and actually do the changes, because they could say all the right things. And, they brought us out and that was nice. We had a nice dinner and it was great. And the flight was awesome and this and that. But in the end, it's going to, hopefully next year, we get to go back and say, hey, this is where we were at last time and we made these changes. Like, what do you think? So I'm hoping that that really happens. And I think everyone that was there was, grateful. And I felt, as someone that was deactivated for a little bit, I was grateful to be on there, and I got to ask Tony about the whole deactivation and transparency, and not to make this thing long, but like the whole like support. Like now you got to go to the AI bot, and then after the bot, you get to a human that's not in the US. That's kind of hard to explain what your issue is. And if you're already talking to support, you already know that you're not having a good day or whatever the issue might be. So I feel like that's one thing where they're kind of missing the mark. Also, it's like I feel like Dashers need better live support, because if we're asking for the support, it's because we need it, not because we want to talk to a DoorDash representative. But I think overall, I think it's definitely it's trending in the right direction, in my opinion. And I can only tell you, my experience of who I talked to and everything that went on with me. And I think I was with Jay for the most part, and I think we both had the same feeling, like, wow, these guys really do seem to care. And even the guy that I was with, Trevor, he was with DoorDash since like 2018. So he's been there for a while, so, we got to pick his brain. We couldn't really record all of that, but it was still very, very knowledgeable. He was very knowledgeable of the DoorDash platform. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks again. I mean, there's so many different nuances to this business, things that are changing faster than others, but things that are just in general changing. I
Yeah.
said this before, like, they're very agile. They're trying different stuff. If we look at other apps, I don't know if we can say that about other apps. I mean, there's no really other platform that's even done something like this, like the
Yeah, that's true.
roundtable. So they're at least taking initiative. And again, like you said, and I've said, the measurables between now and next year. Let's look at Q1. Let's look at Q2 to start. Are we going to see measurable changes here to the Dasher platform going forward? So, Marco, with Nova Hustles, I appreciate you coming on the channel and sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And folks, this is just episode 1 of an entire series, bringing on fellow Dashers that were at that roundtable event to hear your thoughts. Because it's like we're by ourselves when we're dashing, and we're getting this unique opportunity because the company is watching, reading comments, really listening to Dashers. Again, I don't really know of many other platforms that are doing it, at least to this degree. And Elite's, it's tangible action here. No, it's not perfect, but if your voice is heard, things come up to the surface: on-time rate, base pay, etc. So I appreciate you watching. Share that feedback on the Dasher platform and what you like, what you don't like down below.